Good evening, ladies. If you're seeing my face, that means it's a Tuesday. Time for another Tuesday Talk with Tonia. And today's topic I'm so excited about. I'm so excited about our guest speaker. For those of you that are new, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're just a group of women that come and share. We uplift, we empower, we encourage, we support, we do what we can to help one another. Our sisters are important to us and we are important to them. And we just created this platform so that people can come and share thoughts, ideas, troubles, trauma in a safe space without being judged, without being criticized, without being looked at funny or talked about. And so with that being said, I'm excited about our guest today because she knows all about that world. She is a therapist, and I'm going to read her bio because it's so phenomenal. Her bio is one. I was like, you better do it, girl. I was like, okay. So her name is Dr. Radisha Brown, and she is America's #1 relation. Okay, wait, let me get it right. Let me pull up the bio because the bio, I was like, oh, she do that. She do that too. And let me put on my glasses because sometimes I can't see y'all. So it says Dr. Radisha Brown is known as America's #1 breakup therapist. She is the owner of I Thrive Therapy, best-selling author of Girl Get Off the Couch, and host of Girl Get Off the Couch live experience. She's been seen on TV1's hit crime show For My Man and been featured in Voyage Atlanta Magazine, Black Doctorate Network podcast, Mind, Body, Green, and more. She's an international speaker, 2 times best-selling author, and trusted psychotherapist who gets results. Her work is guided by faith and the simple idea that when we connect the dots between past experiences and present pain, we can position ourselves for a powerful future. I love that. And tonight, I framed our conversation around relationship roulette, how to navigate and manage your relationships. So, without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Radisha.
Hey, girl. Thank you so much. I am super excited to be a part of the Tuesday Talk. What? Listen, because it's going to get real tonight. And so I am super excited to be with you ladies and to have the conversations, some difficult conversations that we need to have on our healing journey. So, I always say God relieved me from shame a whole long time ago on my healing journey. And so I am open book. I talk about all the things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it's the only way we're going to heal. Part of why we remain in pain, especially as women, Black women, is because we keep it a secret, right? We carry it solo, and we think we're the only ones that's going through it. We're the only ones that's been through a divorce. We're the only ones that's gained weight. We're the only ones that lost our jobs. We're the only ones single parents, right? So all the things that we're the only of keeps us in pain as we keep those secrets to ourselves. So on this journey, it's important to acknowledge kind of where you are so that you can appropriately heal and be on the path that God has set forth for you, right? So a lot of my work is around faith because I don't know another way to really get transformation in our lives, and no matter what your faith journey is, it requires faith. It requires a belief in something greater than yourself in order for you to see transformation and change in your life. And so I'm super excited about all the things we're going to talk about tonight. And so let's get to it, girl.
Let's get to it. So thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. Taking time out of a day I know can be challenging because you have a lot going on, but I'm so appreciative that you accepted the call from me to be a part of Tuesday Talks. And so I want you to just jump in like relationships. And a lot of times I think, and I'll just start the conversation, even for me, from my perspective, I just made a post recently and it was a repost from somebody that says, can men and women be friends, like platonic friends without sex? And I was like, yeah. And when I first moved here, so I'm not from Augusta, but when I moved here, And we were having this conversation, and women were like, "No, it's always something." Or men was like, "No," and I'm like, "Where y'all from?" Because where I'm from, what I'm used to, the majority of my friends growing up were male, and it's always been that way for me. I have more male best friends than I do female best friends,
Wow.
and it's just something I don't know within me that they see and I see in them. They trust me. They talk like my best friend, my guy friends. They talk about everything to me. They talk about their relationships, their girlfriends, they whatever, and they know it's safe with me because I'm not
Right.
going to go back and talk about it. But I mean, and they will lay down their life literally for me. There are four of them, and to this is over a 35-year relationship.
Wow.
And but people here in Augusta, they feel like, oh no, men and women can't be platonic relationship in a platonic relationship. And I'm like, why? Who said that? Like, where do you get that from? So let's start there, and then we'll go off
Right.
into whatever other branch of relationships we want to talk about.
Right. You know what? It's not just Augusta. It's a very common issue in relationships. As a therapist, most of my clients I see as couples, right? I do a lot of couples work. And so that's a common issue that couples experience. Can my male partner be friends with the female and it be platonic? And then the opposite, can my female partner be friends with a male and it be platonic? And what it comes down to is trauma. When we've experienced some type of heartbreak, betrayal in our lives, it really changes how we see the world. I am sure if we were asked much younger in our journey, we were middle school, high school, we were asked the question, we're like, yeah,
sure. Right.
But then life happens and life be lifing, right? And you experience a betrayal from a best friend, from a cousin, from a family member. And what trauma does, it changes not only how you look at yourself, but how you see the world. It gives you a new set of glasses, glasses based on distrust of yourself first and of others second. And so in order to fix that issue in relationships, we got to fix the root cause, which is trauma. Having a platonic relationship absolutely is possible with men, with women. But again, if I'm looking at it from a pair of glasses of hurt, pain, betrayal, like, no, the last guy he said that was just a friend and I caught them in the bed sleeping together, that's going to change my whole perspective on life. And so when you ask me that question, I'm going to be like, nah, because what I experienced before, I remember what I saw and I remember how it felt. And so we got to get healed first, right? So a lot of my work is dedicated to helping women heal from past trauma, because we bring that into relationships. Relationships are just mirrors in how we on our deepest, darkest experiences. And so oftentimes we get in a relationship thinking love gonna cure it all, right? I love this person and oh my God, everything gonna be perfect.
The lies.
The lie we tell ourselves. And we keep believing it.
We do.
We like, oh, I love him, right? I said that too with my with my former husband, right? And I was like, I love him at 19, 20. I was like, he the love of my life. I can't live without this man, and I just gonna have to marry him, and everything will be fine with the world. Well, in the relationship, he was a cheater, right? And so, but love was supposed to fix that, and then I just thought naive, lack of experience, that somehow I could love him through it.
Yeah,
right? I could love him to be a better man.
That we can fix him.
We can fix it, and we tried. And even as a therapist, I was like, we're gonna go to therapy, we're gonna work through it, we're gonna fix it. Yeah. And he just kept having a good time playing Twisted Naked Twister, right? And so my love wasn't fixing it. Listen, and I ain't had a good time, but I had all the pain and the betrayal and all the negative emotions. I'm like, I'm even getting nothing to deal other than the bad stuff, right?
That's right.
Right. And it's so hard for us when we go through those experiences to choose us. We choose everybody else.
We do.
Right. I chose him for a really long time. So a great deal of courage and a great deal of anger and frustration to say no more.
Yeah.
To let go. We're taught very young how to welcome people in, how to love them, but nobody teaches us how to let go and when to let go.
You better say that again. You better say that again. That is the absolute truth. And it's funny you said that. I was listening to a message by Darius Daniels this morning, and he's preaching on Exodus and how to exit He was like, some things you can't walk into a new door until you exit an old one.
Right.
And he talked about that. Like, really, we're not taught how to leave
No.
relationships, leave situations. Well, it was good in the beginning, and maybe it'll
Right.
get back good again.
Right. We hold on to that.
We
We hold
do.
on to that.
And it's because innately that's what we were raised to do, you know. And I'm like you, 18-year marriage, serial cheater for 18 years, and I'm
Right.
still like, you know, one day he gonna, you know.
One day he gonna figure it out.
But it was also
Wake
when
up
you
and be
get
like, I got
married.
the best thing. Yeah.
When you get married, you're supposed to stay married regardless. That's
Right.
another thing. And I'm like, the devil is a lie. I finally came to my senses. I said, listen, Lord, I know you didn't create me for this mess.
Right.
And so I'm done with this mess. And yeah, whatever happens, I'm good. I've cleared my conscience with you so that
right.
can move forward.
Right.
But it took 18 years.
Right. Right. And I often tell family members and friends that are like, oh my God, that are complaining about family members and friends, like, oh my God, why can't she just leave him? He's da 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 da. He's da 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 da. And I often have to remind them that she's going to make a decision when she's ready.
Yeah.
And denial serves a purpose in our lives, right? We also always think of denial as a very bad thing, right? Denial keeps us from the truth, but also denial is there to protect us from really overwhelming experiences. So as long as I am denying the fact that my ex-husband was a serial cheater or denying the fact that he won't get better on his own, it's helping to put me in a place of peace, of some sort of peace, and it's helping me deal with the situation. Now it's not so overwhelming. Now I'm not dealing with a situation that's is hopeless.
Yeah.
And it's often hard for family members, for friends, for best friends, for people that love you to understand that that's your journey.
Yeah, that's true. That is
and I'm sure on your journey, people like, girl, what you doing? Ain't you girl at year 1, 8, 2, at 5, girl, girl, what you doing?
Them brothers I had was ready to.
I'm sure. I am sure. I'm sure. But it is your individual journey, and you will change when you are ready. When you're ready, when your self-conscious is able to handle the overwhelming emotion and pain that comes along with the decision.
Yeah.
Until our subconscious is in a position to hold that space for that pain, we will remain in that position. And it's not an intentional thing. And it's not that we're glutton for pain, right? And it's not that we're just so naive that we don't know what's going on with the world. It's the fact that we're not prepared to handle the magnitude of the decision.
Right. Because it's a lot.
Our subconscious. It is. It will change. Divorce, breakups changes everything. Changes not only your address, your future, your plans, your relationships with other people, because now people feel like they got to pick sides. It changes your trajectory in your career. It changes everything. So it's not a small thing to decide to leave and to make the decision, one, and then to take the action, two.
And not just in a marital relationship, but even in friendships, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
You have friends that, we're gonna be friends forever. We, ride or dies. We, those cats and all that. And then one day it's just you've grown apart, or things change. You grow, they grow, and it's not intentional. But sometimes you outgrow people, and it took me a while to learn that, because I'm such a relational type person. Like, I really value relationships. I really invest in relationships. And a lot of times I felt kind of upside down in relationships. And sometimes people may have felt that way about me. Like, I'm giving so much of myself and not really getting that much in return. And then sometimes when that relationship is no longer as strong as it used to be, there's kind of a mourning process, because it's like, ooh, well, I guess we weren't as close as we were. And that's not necessarily the case. It's just that people change, things change, seasons change. And so what I've learned is, and even though I say this, it's still hard to process that some people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. We want everybody to be lifetime, but everybody is not lifetime people. Like,
absolutely. And when you grow up in a household where there is physical abuse, emotional abuse, or neglect, it makes letting people go that much harder. Because what that environment tells me is that chaos is the norm.
Yeah.
And despite the chaos, I am supposed to hold on to whoever's in my circle.
Yeah.
Right. So that's for me, and in my healing journey, understanding that for my own journey, that's why I held on for so long. Yeah. So it wasn't just what was happening currently, it's what had happened in the past that affected my decision today.
Perfect sense. And since you say that, I'm thinking back, you miss out on things in your household. If you're raised by a single mother, you're missing out on that male figure, that, that father figure, so you miss out on that. And even in a household with a single mother, my sister's on the phone. My mom was not a touchy-feely kind of mother. She wasn't, I love you. Kisses.
Yeah.
She was none of that. And so she was the hardcore, you don't need a man, you don't need this, you don't need that. And you gotta, basically put your big drawers on and keep on moving. Like, and so when you become an adult and you're like, you see that you missed out on as a child.
Right. It's that emotional neglect that you didn't get. And nothing against your mom. She did the best she could at what she had.
I said the
she
same
didn't know
thing.
any different. And I often have to tell adults that, because they always feel like, oh, I got to defend my mom. Listen, she did the best she could given the situation and given the circumstances in which she was given and probably what she saw. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that your experience wasn't true. Right. Doesn't mean that it didn't hurt you and harm you and change the way you see yourself and how you see other people in relationships. That affected how you viewed relationships. Romantic relationships, friendships, working relationship, it changed how you view all relationships when you grow up in a household, when you're missing when that emotional connection is missing. Yeah. And so oftentimes we think, well, that's just the past. That don't have anything to do with the future. No, that's part of why I say we have to connect the dots, because that directly affected your decision to remain in a situation that was probably not the best for you, because you were craving that emotional connection that you lost. And part of you was like, I got to fight to keep it. I got to fight to keep it. I got to hold on to it no matter what. I got to hold on to it because it's what I need and what I've craved and what I've wanted my entire life. Right.
And that's so true. And when you think about even just how relationships are made up, and different relationships, require different energy, require different support. But when it's somebody that you like, I go hard for this person, I love this person, this is my person, and then, something happens or doesn't happen, and it's like, wait a minute now, I thought, and your statement about she did the best she could, it took me a long time to realize that, even as an adult, and it took, I think, probably on her deathbed when she passed away, she had cancer, and we just had some very candid conversations, and we had them in the past, but you realize that she was raised in a generation and a time where she didn't get the same thing, so she couldn't give what she didn't have. She couldn't do what she didn't know. But as a child, as a young adult, you don't really, that doesn't click for you. That doesn't make sense for you until later on in life. And some people never get to that realization.
Absolutely. So and that's part of this healing journey, I call it, because once you embark upon it and you're intentional about it, what it does, it not only changes the way you feel, but it changes how you see. And I often, in my first session with couples and individuals, I always give a warning. I say, healing is important, and I'm so excited that you've made this decision, but please understand, it will change the way you see everything around you. Every relationship will go through a new filtering process. And once you embark on this journey, you can't revert back. And oftentimes you will remove people from your life that you probably are thinking in this moment, oh, that'll never happen. They're always there. I said, because when you heal, you recognize this need and this thing that you brought along with you in relationships. And once you start healing this inner child, your needs, wants, and desires change. And then you start seeing relationships differently. You start seeing how people have benefited from your hurt pain and how relationships have been one-sided.
Yes.
Even long-term friendships. I had a 20+ year friendship that in my healing journey, we went our separate ways. And it's not that I outgrew her, but I realized that she was benefiting from my pain.
Yeah.
From this need to always keep people in my life. So I'm always giving whatever you need. Here it is. You need help with your light bill. Here it is. I know I got to pay my light bill, but you need it, right?
Yeah.
This constant roller coaster of, hey, I gotta help. I gotta make sure you're good before I'm even good, right?
Yeah.
And so what you will find is when you start making yourself the priority, people get really angry about that have been benefiting from your pain.
Oh yes.
All of a sudden you think you are that, right?
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden, you got this new job, and it has nothing to do. Nothing. It's just you're changing the way you see the world and how you see yourself and decisions you made because you were living in pain.
Yep. So true. So true. This is so good. And I appreciate you for covering. To those of you that joined, this is Dr. Radisha Brown, Girl Get Off the Couch. She's a therapist, a coach. She's some of everything. She's amazing. So we're just talking about relationship roulette. And a lot of times I think, we can self-sabotage ourselves, but also our relationships, because we carry all of this baggage from a previous relationship, no matter what that relationship is, into the current, or some that we don't even get to cultivate because we done put up all these walls and blockages, and and I know I have to do better because and I tell people this all the time, I'm a Scorpio, but I'm quiet. I'm real quiet. But if I get to a point where I feel like push me, use me, whatever, I sting at some point. And people don't ever see it coming because of my nature is real quiet. I get along. I love folks. I support. But there's a side that most people never hopefully get to see. But it's out of, because I know I'm a good person. I'm a loyal person. I'm a committed person. I'm going to do my best to help people, not hurt people. And like you just said, people can take advantage of that. People will suck you dry.
They will
suck you dry. And you get tired and you're like, you know what? And this is so bad. Me and my little circle, we had this thing. We like, no new friends. Okay, nobody else go.
We cutting the people off.
That's bad to say, but
you don't know what their intentions are. I get it.
I don't even have the energy to vet you. Like, what do you?
We don't know. This is a closed club. I get it. I'm
trying to do better. I am. I'm trying to do better. Better. So talk to us a little bit about and I have this saying too, even with like relationships with your parents, with siblings, with friends, coworkers. So I was on a call probably about a year or two ago, and it was a young lady. She was a therapist, I believe, and it was a group that is called CISB. And the speaker was talking. Well, one of the ladies was like, explaining her frustration with her mom. Her mom was like in her 70s or 80s, maybe. The woman who was talking worked a full-time job. And even though it was during COVID and she was working from home, her mom felt like if I asked you to do something, you need to be able to drop whatever you're doing. And she was trying to explain to her mom, I can't, I can't. And she broke down on the call. She was crying because, you feel like you're obligated to your mom to do whatever she says, whenever she says, if she doesn't understand. And so one thing that I live by now to this day from what that lady said, she said, take the title off. If that wasn't your mama, what would you do? What would you say to her? How would you respond to her? Remove the titles. She said, remove the titles. We get so caught up in, well, that's my mom, I can't say this. That's my dad, that's my child. Remove the titles. Titles don't obligate you to be treated any kind of way by whoever it is. And so what do you say to that? How do you respond to that?
I always say boundaries are a magical thing, right? And probably about a couple of months ago, I did a video on my social media talking about this exact same thing that went viral. It blew up. And what I said was, toxic moms are just as hurtful as absent fathers, and they impact us. And I talked about the and they impact us. And I talked about the impact of having an emotionally unavailable mother, a mother that is extra critical, a mother that expects you to hold space and do the exact thing. And so, and what I said was, please understand your mom did the best she can, but also understand it hurt you, and you get to acknowledge and validate your experience.
Yeah.
And so that video went viral. It was huge. And I a few hours later, I'm getting all these inboxes, and I was just like, what is going on? Because I just felt like it's just something. It's the thing that my clients deal with often. It's the thing that I dealt with my mom.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just important to say, because it's just even saying that my mom was toxic and emotionally unavailable is a sin. And I talked about it. I was like, I know it feels like we're sinning against God by saying that.
Right.
And so similar to what you're saying, you get to take the title off, and I get to validate my experience. And it doesn't mean I don't love her. It doesn't mean that she don't love me. It doesn't mean that she did the best she could. But I just get to validate that for myself, for my own healing journey.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of positive, but also a lot of negatives from moms that were like, you just blaming me and blah, blah, blah. And, but it's so important to have the conversation, and you get to have boundaries with your parents. You get to have boundaries with your siblings, and boundaries, people often think of them as negative, like, oh my God, I can't say no, because they're going to think I'm being mean. No, boundaries simply teach people how to treat you.
That's right.
There's just a rule book. It's just a set of directions you give people. If people are trying to figure out how do I find your house? Right. You're going to give them a set of directions. You'll be like, okay, you're going to get to Washington Road, then you're going to make a left at Pleasant Home Road, then you're going to make a right. That's what boundaries do in relationships. They simply give people directions to their relationship with you. And when you don't have boundaries, you find yourself emotionally exhausted, dealing with anxiety, frustration, staying up late at night, just with all this internal emotional buildup, because the person, and people often on their own won't recognize boundaries. They won't recognize that you even need boundaries, not on their own, right? And so creating those boundaries create mental health space for you.
Yes.
It also puts guidelines and directions on the relationship.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you being mean, doesn't mean that you don't care about the person. It just simply means that you're putting a priority on your wants, needs, and desires, and that's okay.
On your peace, because we need peace. And if you're in a contentious relationship that's always toxic, that's always volatile, you don't have peace. And peace leads to frustration and aggravation and, all these other things. So, and I tell people now, I try to protect my peace at all costs. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what our relationship status is. It does not. None of that matters. If it disturbs my peace, it costs too much.
It is a very high cost, and we don't realize the cost of this, the cost we're experiencing, not only mentally, but physically, right? Stress cuts your life expectancy. It puts you at higher risk for health issues, for diabetes, for heart disease, for cancer, you name the disease. Stress puts you at a higher risk category when you experience it.
Yeah.
Also trauma, long-term chronic trauma also puts you at a higher risk for physical ailments. We don't think about experiences in that way. We think about, it's just something we got to deal with, quote unquote. No, these are things that are directly affecting how long you live on this earth.
That's right.
And your quality of life while you are living.
That's right. Quality of life. Do you want to be here and be sick and be, angry and bitter? And you're right. And I share this story a lot, especially with people who are close to me, but I've shared it a few times on this platform about my mom, and she died of colon cancer. When we found out she was stage 4, decided she didn't want any kind of treatment. She was literally gone 4 months to the day that we found out. But what I share with people is my mom was very bitter. She was a very bitter woman, bitter with her family, bitter with my dad, bitter with the world, even though she was a Christian. Even though she was a Christian, she professed Christ as her Lord and Savior, but she just had this internal thing. And I told people that cancer ate her up from the inside because of the stuff that she held in.
She was carrying.
And I refuse to let that be my story. So when I have issues, I'm like, it's coming out. I'm saying what I gotta say. I'm doing what I gotta do because I don't want that to be my story. But that's cancer is linked to just bitterness because that stuff starts in the stomach. Even if you think about the Bible, you get that stuff in your stomach, the feeling and everything starts there because it comes from the heart, but it's inside, it's internal.
Right. And the Bible talks about infirmities. Infirmities
are
a sickness of the mind, right?
Yes,
and so God knew we were going to have some issues with our mind.
He did. He did. He did.
And so that, here's the thing, when you don't heal, pain turns into resentment.
Yes.
And so what people view as anger, like the angry Black woman, right? It's really a Black woman that's in incredible pain. She is in incredible pain, so much so she doesn't know how to handle it, how to process it, which is why healing is so important. It changes the legacy, your legacy when you leave this earth, right? The legacy you leave, it requires you to heal. And I know even for me going through a divorce, I was so angry. I was angry that I stayed. I was angry that I left. You know what I mean? I was angry that I was with the person I was with. I was angry that I wasn't with the person I was with. All the emotions that you carry along. And I remember after my divorce, I was walking. I was at work, and there was this guy at work that had an interest in me. He stopped me. He said, "Hey, I'm so happy that I'm happy to hear that you got a divorce. I love to take you out." And I turned around and I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" And I let him have it. And it was just so much pain and that I was carrying. And he was just the victim coming through. He was like, "Oh, I'm happy you got divorced." And I was like, what you want to take me out so you can lie and cheat on me just like the other dude? It was so bad.
Listen, he caught it. He caught everything.
He caught it. I'm like, even telling the story, I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, I gotta look that guy up and apologize again. And he was the look on his face, he was just like in shock and just scared. And he didn't know what to say. And he was just like,
what did I do?
It wasn't me. What did I walk into, right? And so he was just like, he blinked a couple of times and then like turned and walked away. He never spoke to me after that. I was like, yeah, take me out. Sure, take me out. So you can cheat on me and lie to me. Oh, boy, we're going to get married in the meantime. We're going to have some kids. And I'm throwing kids in there. He was probably like, what in Jesus' name is happening?
Like, you know what? I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Was like, she's possessed. I am sure after that he probably told all the guys like, she is crazy.
Go talk to her. Don't say nothing to her.
Go over there. Don't go over there being nice. You gonna get your feelings hurt. So I knew when in that one experience, like, okay, I gotta stay away from men for a while, and I gotta heal because I'm going traumatize people.
They gonna need a counselor by the time I get done.
Be like, I got relationship trauma. I asked this one girl out, and oh my God, like,
oh my goodness! But that's so real. It's funny. It's real because
it is real.
You're carrying this weight of, what was I not good enough? And
right.
I look at the 18 years that I was married, and I'm like, man, what I sacrificed for you, what I gave up for you, what I did. And, and it's like, you know what, you weren't even worth it. But after the fact, you're just, like you're saying, mad at yourself. Why did I stay so long? Why did I do it so much?
Yeah.
I saw the signs. I knew better. But again, we put ourselves in this place where we blame ourselves and we have to move on, even from healing from blaming ourselves and, experiencing this, oh, what was me? I should have known better, should have did better.
Right.
You got to get out of that.
Right. We got to get into a place to accept that you made the best decision you could in where you were at. You were living in pain. You were just trying to get through it. You were living in survivor mode is how I often explain it. You were living in survivor mode. Absolutely. You were just trying to get through. You were just trying to ensure your survival. And staying in that situation is what your survival required, right? And so part of the healing journey is forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Before you even start talking about the other person, you got to forgive yourself. And
You do.
the self-forgiveness is the hardest.
Hard.
So we are so hard on ourselves. We have these
Hard.
huge expectations for ourselves. Nah, girl, you should have known better. Especially me. I was like, girl, you a therapist. You should have read him. You know what I mean? And all you should have knew coming. And he wasn't no good.
Right.
You
Right.
lying.
Right. Exactly. Like, girl, what was wrong with you?
What you doing? Right. And so all the things we tell ourselves, I call them these ants running around in our brain, which is automatic thoughts, just constantly hitting us. And we really have to fight to take back our life. And so that emotional pain for me resulted in me overeating. I mean, I ate all the comfort foods to deal with it. I gained over 80 pounds, nearly.
Oh, wow.
You know, I stopped counting at 80. It was probably close to 100, but I stopped
Wow.
counting at 80. And oftentimes people are like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Yes, you know, when you're in survival mode, you're doing anything and everything to survive.
Yeah.
And food helped me to survive those hard moments.
Yeah.
Fried chicken was my best friend. She was always there. She was hot. She
any time of day or night.
She went on anything. She was like, what we got, right? And so, but she was not good to my body, right? She helped me emotionally, but she was killing me internally.
Yeah.
Right. And so 80 plus pounds and on 5'1", it's a lot. It is a lot to carry physically. And then when you have extra weight, right? And the first thing you go to the doctor is everything's because of your weight, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I got headache because you overweight.
Yep.
Oh, my foot hurts because you overweight. And so you deal with this constant this constant self negative talk, and it's being reinforced by medical people that's supposed to know better. They're the expert, right? And it can send you down this really bad spiral, this dark place. And it really requires, that's why I always say, fighting to take your life back, because it really is a fight. You fight yourself, you fighting the medical people, you fighting the exes, the screen of exes, you fighting your mama, you fighting your daddy, you fighting everybody for your peace. And your healing.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm gonna give folks time. I'll take a little break right here. And ladies, is there anyone that would like to ask any questions? Anybody want to chime in on this topic, relationship roulette? But even more than that, you know, healing and making sure you're healed, and, you know, normalizing boundaries, normalizing, you know, you protecting your peace, normalizing, like, you know, these are my expectations in a relationship, and it's okay. You know, you can't allow people to make you feel like you're being mean or you're being distant or you're being whatever, because your relationship boundaries or your relationship expectations are something that they're not used to, because that's what happens a lot of times. We allow people, like you said, to treat us certain types of way. And so when we finally say, hey, wait a minute, they're like, wait, what's wrong with you? Like, we've been cool, we've been this, and we've been, well, yeah, things changed. Welcome, Melissa. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thanks for the invitation. Hello.
Yes. So we just opening up the floor. We've been talking about relationships and boundaries and healing and so many other things. And so I'm just opening up the floor. If anybody wants to add anything, make, you know, comment, question. And I know you just got on, Melissa, so I know you like, I don't know. But
that's okay. No, I do, because it's funny you said that. I actually have been taking advantage of free counseling sessions that my employer offers. I get 20 free sessions a year.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, because most people don't give no 20. That's
right. I've heard of like 7, 10, 20 for free.
That's awesome.
And as a matter of fact, that was something that I opened up with my counselor about in the last year, was about boundaries. And I think it pretty much stemmed from, I think during the pandemic, I felt like I was pulled in 8 different directions.
Right.
I felt like a human octopus. That's kind of how I described it to her. I'm a human octopus. I said, if it's not friends, family, work, neighbors, and I wasn't taking time out for myself. And that's something that we did talk about as far as boundaries. And I knew what that was, but just to make a conscious effort to set those boundaries and for people to respect those boundaries. Sometimes even our loved ones, parents, siblings, what have you. And I think sometimes, it's difficult to open up and say no to those that you love. But if you love yourself first, it's okay to tell the loved ones no. And so that's something that I've been working on personally for the last year. And, Tonia knows I'm on a sabbatical right now. So that was part of me, setting those boundaries and focusing on self-care, self-love, prioritizing me and putting myself on the top of my totem pole versus others. So I think I joined at the right time. So
yes,
right on time. Right on time.
Yes.
And I'll admit, and I had to consciously step back last year. And I'm going to share, I'm very open. So when I talk about work, I think I've invested a lot of time, energy, because a lot of me centers around work.
Yeah,
and I think sometimes too, people look at that and just keep throwing things your way, putting on your plate, and then your plate runneth over. It's like, now I need a platter.
Right.
Right. Now I need a platter. Now I need a soup bowl. Now I need a dessert dish, whatever. And last year I had to pat myself on the back because my manager asked me to take on what I felt like was another like part-time job on top of the full-time job that I'm doing now, without any mention of more money, promotion, nothing. And I said, no, ma'am, no, sir.
Good for you.
Respectfully, no, ma'am, no, sir. Because I pointed out to her the things that I had done over the last 7-8 years to justify I've done my fair share. And then now to come and present this as if this was like I had hit the lottery. No, I hadn't. I had not hit the lottery.
Right.
And for me to respectfully say no, thank you. And then also 2 weeks later say, I want to take the sabbatical in 2023, by the way, just to give you a heads up. Right. And so, so that's why I said, when I hear the word boundaries, I know what that means loud and clear.
Like, girl, you are definitely going to therapy. I love it. It's so important. And you're right. It's so hard for us, especially Black women. It is so hard because we're taught at a very young age to always, quote unquote, help, to serve.
Yes.
And it's like, there's no end. They don't teach us that service has limits. There's no limits. So you just keep serving, serving yourself to the graveyard, because that's where that's right. And so important to set those boundaries, and kudos to you for saying no more. Saying no more. Family, work, friends, no more. Yeah. You get to put yourself
came in on the perfect time, because we were just literally talking about that. I was telling Dr. Brown about a person that I had heard say, remove the titles, because just because it's your mom, your dad, your sister, whoever, it doesn't matter. Remove the title. You're not obligated to be treated a certain way or doing something just because of somebody else's title, no, Ma, I can't do that today. Get somebody else to do it. Like, and be okay with that, really be okay. And I see Felicia posted, yes, my motto, if it costs me my peace, it costs too much.
Amen, Felicia. You say that again for people in the back. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Costs too much. That's awesome. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And I think too, as we mentioned, as Black women, we've seen our mothers and grandmothers and aunts.
Right.
We grew up watching them do that, just pour into everybody except for themselves. Right. And I think it's like a learned behavior, and we have to kind of, say stop right now. We got to call a timeout. And that way, for those that come after us, for them to see and for us to set the example, because like I said, I think we have seen it far too much, and then it does break down mental, physical health, right? And we've seen, like I said, aunts and grandmothers, friends, even everybody that we see, we think about the toll that it takes on them physically and mentally, whether they want to admit to it or not. And I just think the time is now of saying, like I said, it's okay to call time out and focus on yourself. So
it is. We just talked about that too. And you're right. And I think that the teaching part, so in your household, what you see is done, what you hear. Like for us, my sister and I, we were raised to give, to be givers. People were always at our house. I mean, we would wake up, strangers sleeping on the couch. We're like, Mom, who is this? We like 10, 11 years old. You don't know these people. You just seen them on the street. But that was my mom. And so we found ourselves, as we were growing up, we were accepting anybody could come over, anybody, we feeding anybody.
Right.
And so we became servants. And there's nothing wrong with being a servant, but you do have to have boundaries. You do have to learn that you can't give from an empty cup. You do have to learn that It's okay to send them to somebody else. It's okay to refer them to somebody else. You don't have to always be the savior. You don't always have to be the superhero in somebody else's life. There are other resources, but because we saw it so much in our home, and even to this day, I'm still, I still deal with that somewhat, like always trying to help somebody, always trying to save that
Right.
stray, and always,
Yeah.
and it does take a toll. You like, I'm tired, like
Right.
who gonna save me?
Right. Who gonna save you? Absolutely.
So yeah, those things are important. Very, very important. Thank you for sharing, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa, for
No
sharing.
problem.
Absolutely.
No problem. Thank you.
And this is why I say counseling is your best friend. It's either incarcerated, counseling, or committed. I'm trying to pick the lesser of evils, people. Counseling is your friend. I keep telling
Absolutely.
people this. Dang it.
Thank you,
But
Stacey. Amen, sis.
listen, I'm serious about this. And I think we still in the Black community specifically have a stigma. You're not
Right.
going to counseling because you're crazy. You are going to counseling to not go to jail. Do you feel me? But not only
Right.
that, you're going to counseling. If you were sick, you go to the doctor.
Right.
So why do we think that your mental health is still not health? If you need help, get it. And I'm learning about me. I laugh because me and my sister are opposite. I have to make myself, when she said that they're like, no more friends, we're not accepting any applications. Look, I'm trying to get back to COVID, where I'm at the house with snacks by my dang self, cool like the earth side of pillow. And I have to force myself to want to play well with others, because you do get to that point where you've given so much and you're not giving back to you, that you have to take a time out and you have to reevaluate, okay, who am I going to let into my space? Because like Felicia said, if you cost me peace, ooh, you're too expensive.
Yeah.
And it's not, we are in the year of our Lord 2023. We're not today, and tomorrow's not looking too hot. So I have to make myself have attachments, because I am so quick to not be bothered with people and be okay with it. And so I have to have that balance of, yes, I let people in my life, but I also have to teach you how to treat me. And it's a delicate
Right.
balance when you are at that point where you just don't want to be bothered with anybody. Is that, now remember, Stacey, you gotta love people. You have to be there. You have to play well with others. And I'm like, okay. So it's a balance, but I absolutely understand just having those boundaries is for your sanity, but also getting stuff out. I'm a person that'll keep everything in, but I'm learning, I will say what I say, and then I'm done. Regardless of the outcome, I'm saying a piece. Whereas before, like you said, we'd have to hold it in and hold it in and hold it in. Watching a person die slowly, mind you, from cancer, all bets are off. So now I said what I said, and it's going to come out, and it's going to be a nice way, but it's still going to be said. Whereas before, you would bite your tongue or hold your peace. People are always like, no, just keep the peace. I'm wrecking everything. I don't care. I don't even feel bad about it. But I will say this. I've learned to have balance even in that. You do say what you have to say, but there's a way you can say it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, how people take it, that's on y'all. But I'm still going to say what I said and be okay with it. But you have to say it, like my sister said, get it out. Because you do have so much illness from holding so much stuff in over such a long period of time. We were taught to just keep it moving. Don't let anybody know your business. Don't tell your business. Don't ask for help. ... You know how we are in our communities. That's why there's so much going on in our communities, because we're always taught to keep it quiet. I'm telling everything. I don't even care.
Like, I'm letting everybody know.
Right.
I know this about everybody.
You took yours also. You want to say something too?
Well, I want to say I love this conversation. My cousin and I literally was on the phone for like an hour yesterday, just talking about our upbringing and how we realized that we were brought up pretty much in like in a matriarch type. Our grandfather had passed away before we were born. So what we saw was my grandmother moving and shaking, but to what we just said today on the phone, she was in survival mode. We didn't understand that she was in survival mode. We thought that that's how it's supposed to have been done, how it's supposed to be, So we didn't have the shared, her husband did this, she did that. We just took all of it on. So we learned those behaviors, just like Melissa said, we learned those things.
Right.
But what happens is now we're at a point that we have to unlearn. We have to unlearn those things. That's not how it's supposed to be, And I love, Dr. Rashida, what you said about the healing journey, because it makes sense. It changes how you feel, but also how you see.
Right.
You see things from a different lens, from a different perspective. People that hurt you, that you would have never imagined would hurt you.
Right.
You now move differently. When you come to these people, or even just say people lied on you for whatever reason. Right. Now, when somebody tell you something, you're a little apprehensive of believing that thing, because you're like, no, somebody that might be a lie,
Right.
Somewhere in there. So I'm loving this conversation. I'm loving the boundaries. I'm learning every day how to do that. I think Tonia and I and Stacy, we've always talked about boundaries. I think we kind of teeter-totter with it. We're gonna get better with those things. But boundaries are definitely important. Some things that we didn't learn. Again, I didn't know. I'm married now, and I've learned now, but it wasn't my learning, because of the Holy Spirit, of course, and just my relationship, my faith, as you said before, helped me to understand boundaries. My internal nucleus comes first, and then everything else comes after that.
Right.
But we wasn't raised that way. We was raised to give,
right.
Family over everything, and that family necessarily was not your internal family first.
Right.
So I just appreciate the conversation, and thank you again, Tonia, always, for the opportunity.
Oh yeah, thank you, Felicia and Stacy, for sharing. And something Felicia said just struck me too, when she talked about the families, how women are. You see the women as the head, and I think that's why so many of our families are in turmoil, because the women have usurped their authority. So everybody's out of order. The children are out of order. Wives are out of order. Husbands are out of order, which makes the family unit, which makes the community, which makes the city, the state, and goes. Everybody's out of order because of that very thing right there. We've usurped our authority as women. Men have taken a back seat. They're not as, front and center like they're supposed to be. God said it was God, man, woman, children.
Yeah,
we all out of order. We let children run stuff. Children, that's what they not gonna do.
Facts.
Y'all got me messed up.
Right.
Going. No, so, and that goes back to your upbringing, goes back to what you saw. Felicia, like you said, seeing your grandmother, not seeing your grandfather, even though he had been a part of the picture, there's just no mention of him after he's gone. Like, not what he contributed, not what he helped with.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that all of this ties together with how we are functioning or not functioning right now as a people.
Right. And part of the healing journey is relearning, is recognizing that some of the things we saw and some of the things we were told were lies, right? With how you operate, right? And that realization can be hard in itself. Like, oh my God, Big Mama was wrong. You know what I mean? And then two, relearning. And sometimes it requires us to reparent ourselves in the journey. And so it's so important, because we want healthy relationships, all of our relationships, to be healthy and rewarding and loving and kind and all the things. But relationships require two healthy people. And so I got to do my part to show up as a healthy, whole individual. Otherwise, the relationship suffers. Either the romantic relationship or the friendship or my relationship with my parents, my relationship with my siblings, whatever the relationship is, it will suffer if I'm not coming to it as a whole healed person.
Right.
And that's the challenge.
It is a challenge. And what you just said too. So y'all, I'm learning a whole lot working with the therapist group that I'm working with. So I think I'm a little mini therapist. But anyway, the Ms. Carswell shared with me, because she's a psychotherapist, and she said we're programmed 1 to 7 is that programming stage. 1 to 7 years old, because you come here with a blank slate. What you see between 1 year and 7 years, that's programmed into your head. So no matter what happened in that 7 years, good, bad, or ugly, that's what your programming is. And so she gave a description like, if a child is 3 or 4 and they spill some milk and the parent says, "You're so stupid, da 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 da," all they heard was, "You're stupid." So
Right.
they continue to act and behave what they've been programmed, even into adulthood, until you get reprogrammed. That was an eye opener for me, because you think about that, literally, kids do come into the world and they have to be taught certain things. Some things are innate, but the majority of it, they're taught that. And kids are sponges at that age. They absorb everything they see, everything they hear. And so when you see children in school act in certain ways, they've been programmed that way.
Right.
And how do we reprogram them or deprogram them? Like, that was so mind-blowing to me. I was just like, oh my goodness.
And I'll do you one better. A child that has experienced emotional abuse, you're stupid, you're dumb, da 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 da. They grow up and they get into relationships where their partner says, "You're stupid, you're dumb, da 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 da." It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You have no other path other than to someone says, that validates this internal feeling that I'm not enough, I'm stupid, I'm dumb. It will be a room of 100 available men, 99 good, healthy, whole people, and it'd be the one jerk off that's gonna say the most mean things to you.
And that's the one you're gonna gravitate to. Yeah.
You're gonna beeline it without even thinking about it, because we're energy beings and our energy speaks on our behalf before we even open our mouth.
Yeah.
And so what healing does, it changes us at the core. It changes our energy, what we put out and what we receive back in.
That's good. That's good. Good. This is awesome, ladies. I'm enjoying this conversation. I hope you guys are. I see some other folks on. If there's anybody that would like to say something, now's your time. Now we're going to ask Dr. Brown to share a little bit about Girl Get Up Off the Couch and the live experience that's coming up. If nobody else has any comment, questions, or looking at my screen, but I don't see any movement. So let's talk about Girl Get Off the Couch live experience coming up. Is it August 26th?
August 26th, it is happening. It is happening. It is going down. So Girl Get Off the Couch is the name of my book that I released in 2019 that became a bestseller on Amazon. And it's my personal story of going through a breakup, going through a divorce, gaining 80 pounds, and how I realized during my healing journey that my relationship was connected to my childhood. And that experience, and how I broke free of that, and how I healed. And so I think it resonates with people, because we all live in shame and pain and trying to figure out how to get off the couch, right? And so the name Get Off the Couch came to me one day. I was laying, I was praying to God, and I was like, God, I can't live this life no more. 80 plus pounds overweight. I don't recognize myself. I'm having all these health problems. My back hurt, my knee hurt, places hurt that I didn't know could hurt, places sweat that I didn't know would sweat.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with extra weight like that, only a girl know what I'm talking about. And so Lord. It was hard. And I was like, this ain't for me, and I can't live this life no more. And in my prayer and in my ugly cry to God, I heard him say, girl, you got to get off the couch. And I believe God speaks to us in the way we speak to him. And I was like, what you mean, get off the couch? You ain't coming to save me? You ain't coming to take this chicken out my hand that I've been eating fried chicken for the last year? Like, what's happening? Right. And God was like, no, and then those words just didn't mean physically get off the couch, but it was, you got to take action. There's nobody coming to save you. And I had stayed in the same place because I thought somebody would come save me. Somebody was going to show up, knock on the door, and be like, hey, I'm here to save you. And through that journey, it encouraged me to take the steps to start healing. So I started going to therapy myself. I got a holistic practitioner to help dealing with my health and some of the problems I was doing, a coach to help me navigate life choices, and really started to build myself from the inside out. And then part of healing internally, the weight physically started changing, right? And so all of it is a part of what Girl Get Off the Couch, the experience is about. And so next Saturday, August the 26th at the Kroc Center. I'm super excited. This is the first live experience for Girl Get Off the Couch. And we're going to have real discussions like we're having right now, panel discussions with men and women talking about no more toxic relationships. That's the theme for the event, is really changing relationships. And I think for me, it was important to have men and women at the table to have the conversation, because we have different experiences and different ways in which we see the world, right? We're going to have music. We're going to have a gospel choir. Cathedral of Augusta has allowed me to borrow their entire choir, and these ladies can sing. Wow. And then we'll have a rapper. His name is One. He's coming out of Virginia. He is super dope rapper. And if you follow him on Instagram, he is with all the celebrities. like I saw him the other day, and he was with Ray J at an event, and I was just like, oh, so dope. Oh, but wow. So I was able to hook, crook, and borrow him to come to come and to perform. And it's just going to be a really good conversation, really good event. We also have therapists that will be in the building, that will be taking appointments, because oftentimes I hear we can't find no Black therapists. There are no Black therapists. We are here, right? We are Black therapists here, but oftentimes we're hidden, right? Yeah. And so we get off in our own little corners of the world. We service our little people, and we don't really come out and center. And most of the friends that are therapists, they just don't do things like this. They just service their people, and that's it. Right. And so we have a variety of therapists coming that specialize in different areas. You know, although we are all licensed and can practice and service anybody, we all have our niche, our specialty that we believe we're the best at, right? And so I have someone that's really skilled at helping older women navigate life. I have somebody that's an expert in LGBTQ community, because so many households are dealing with this, either as the parents or children that are identifying as a part of the community. And what do we go? How do we do? What does this look like? How do we get beyond this? And you know, they have a lot of questions that sometimes they feel void in the Christian community, and having that conversation. You know, we avoid it as if it is not here. Like people, you know, like somehow we're going to just disappear a whole community by just not talking about it. And I believe healing requires that we acknowledge whatever the issue is. And certainly that's a part of it. I have someone that's an expert in children, have someone that's an expert, that's a faith-based, just Christian therapist, working with couples. So we're going to have a variety of therapists there. We're going to have a holistic nurse practitioner. She's a little hidden gem. She's actually out of North Augusta, but she helps women that want to go on their healing wholeness journey with medication, if that's your journey, but helping you lose weight, you know, really just take control of your health again. If you're dealing with a specific issue, then she can help you navigate that. If it's hormonal, she can help you navigate that. You know, if it's thyroid, she can help you navigate that. A lot of sometimes the physical symptoms we're dealing with, and sometimes even the emotional symptoms we're dealing with, is rooted in a physical problem. Like thyroid issues will affect your emotions. If you're having heart issues, more than likely you're dealing with depression, because it causes depression. If you are addicted to sugar, we know that sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine, but we also know sugar is linked to depression. So, you know, these are conversations and things that we're just not taught, that we don't recognize, we don't understand, but really putting those experts in place to help us on our healing journey. Because I think if we can do it easier, let's do it easier. You know, let's get the people in the room. Let's get the experts. Let's do it easier. You know, everybody can't just eat apples and vegetables and get to their journey, right? You know? Right. You know, and if Angela can prescribe something to help you make it not so hard, then let's do that, right? Why not? And so we'll have a personal trainer, my personal trainer that I work with, Sandy Wilder, who is thebomb.com. If you guys follow me on social media, you'll see my videos. I'm often at the gym with her in the mornings. If that's where you are, if you're like, hey, I want to work with a personal trainer to get to where I want to go. So anything, a lot of things dealing with health and wellness, will have experts there to help you in the journey. And I'm super excited. You know, it's been a prayer of mine to have this event for a while. You know, I've been a guest and headliner for everybody else's event.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
you know, I've been around the block once or twice.
Yep.
And so, fear kept me. I was like, but I don't know, I'm doing my own, I don't know if people will come. And God was like,
Right.
girl, I'm tired of showing up for you. Why you doubting me? So I just,
That's right.
23 is just what it is. And I'm just going to walk out on faith.
That's right.
And put it together. So I'm super excited. And so you would just go over to ditchthecouch.com to join us next Saturday, August 26th. And I dropped it in the chat. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Dr. Radisha Brown. I also dropped that in the chat. I love to have you. I give tips on mental health, wellness, some inspirational stuff. I'm a faith-based therapist, so we always have faith-based content, but also content to make you think, to challenge your viewpoint, to challenge your perspective, so that you are committed to your healing journey.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, ladies, you got. My sister said put the doctor's info in the chat as well.
Angela, which doctor?
Yeah.
The naturopath.
Doctor.
Okay, now I'm gonna have to get it from my phone, boo. But if you come to the event, you can talk to her live in person, boo.
Yeah.
She is awesome. And I purposely went to find all the little hidden gems of people that are in this little hidden community of wellness. So because we need access to them, right?
Yes.
Other people use it. We want health and wellness too. We want to be whole.
That's
we want
right.
our skin glowing.
That's
in
right.
our 40s, because 40s hit a little
That's
different.
right.
Like, you know what I mean?
50s hit a little different. 50s really hit a little different.
Right. Look, and I'm trying to be fine forever. So
I know that's right. I know that's right.
Me too. Whatever we got.
That's right. That's right.
We got. So I'm going to drop in Angela's information right here. She is thebomb.com, and actually I see her most mornings because we have the same personal trainer. So she is on her wellness journey too, right? And so it's really important. So I'm dropping her information. Is Angela Dykes, and that's her wellness business, and it's in North Augusta, and she is amazing.
This has been amazing. I've loved this conversation. I've loved the nuggets I've gotten. So y'all don't know, I'm pumping myself up like, I could be a therapist, but no, I don't want that job. That's a lot. But I'm learning, I give my therapy to, friends and people who ask and, every now and then. But this is so needed, which, I'm like you, when God dropped Tuesday Talks with Tonia, and it was like, you say, what you want me to do? And
right.
What? And who's going to listen to me? Tuesday Talks with Tonia. I argued. I refused to do it for almost a year.
Right.
And he kept saying, listen, I done told you. I was like, my sister's like, you better do it. He going to get you. And I was like, you know what? Okay. So Lord, however you want me to do this, I'm trusting you. This is your journey. Cause hey, you just gave me the name and pretty much one other thing. And I was like, so what am I supposed to do with this? Like, what? And here we are 6-7 years later, maybe now. I think this is going on year 7.
Oh, wow.
And it started out as an in-person get together every other week. And I would bring in speakers and guests. And sometimes it would just be me. And then it morphed into the podcast. And the podcast was by a friend of mine, a guy who said, hey, what's this Tuesday Talks with Tonia? He saw me on Instagram, which I never even really used. And I was telling him about it. He was like, you need to do a podcast. I was like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know how to do that. He's like, I got you. Just give me the content and I'll take care of the rest. So that's how the podcast
was. That's amazing.
And so I'm like, okay, Lord, it's what you told me to do. I'm doing it. And, I'm trying to be more intentional with it and trying to stay consistent with it. And so it's been a 7-year journey, which, God is faithful, and it may not look like what some people think it should look like, but I'm okay with that. As long as I do what He told me to do,
absolutely,
it's all good. And I don't care if I help one person. And I've gotten story after story about, because of Tuesday Talks, my life is better. Because of Tuesday Talks, I saw you ladies, and I wanted to go back into the workforce because I had been at home, and because of so it's like, okay, God, I hear you, I see you, and I'm going to continue to do what you told me to do until you tell me I'm done. So Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you
Absolutely.
for joining us. Thank you for sharing these nuggets. Thank you for being open and sharing all of this stuff with us. Like, it's been an amazing conversation. I've loved every minute of it.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. Ladies, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your group, your safe space right here. I definitely have been blessed by being here, and I so appreciate the invitation and that you thought of me for sure. And I hope to see you ladies at the Girl Get Off the Couch experience next Saturday. Is going to be great. Regardless of where you are, it's at 1:00, 1 to 3, right? And so regardless of where you are on your journey, I hope you commit to your journey and making yourself the priority, because you are precious. God only made one of you. Like, right. You are more precious than any gold, any metal, and God only made one of you. And your life, your experience is important, and all the impacts you have on this earth is important. So make sure you operate from a place of knowing that you are precious and making yourself a priority.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's amazing. Melissa, did you want to share something? I know you took your mic off.
No, I just did it. I thought
put it in the chat.
I put it in the chat just again. Yeah, okay. So many gold nuggets that I've taken a lot of notes that I'm going to use starting tomorrow. Like I said, I just appreciate the discussion, and thank you, Tonia, for the invitation. And I will be on many more of these discussions. So thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Good for you. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, ladies, Felicia, I'm so glad I was able to join. This conversation was great. It absolutely was. And not that all my conversations are great, but this one is really one, because as women, we need this. We have to take a moment, sit back, sit with what we know, who we are, how we are, and where do we need to make adjustments? Where do we need to make change? We are on a healing journey constantly. Every day should be a healing journey, because there's so much, especially for me, I'm over 50. So I have years of stuff I got to unpack and undo and rework. And so it's always, but there's nothing wrong with putting yourself first. You have to put yourself first, because you're no good to anyone else if you're broke down, angry, bitter, tired, sleepy, all of those things that we become because we try to be so much for everybody else. And I had to learn that the hard way. Thinking I'm Superwoman. I had the Superwoman syndrome. I can save everybody. I can do everything. I don't need no help. I got it. And my body was like, what, girl? You better sit down somewhere.
Right. Absolutely.
Thank you, Felicia. She said I don't look a day over 35.
You sure don't. You said 50. I said, girl, we got that club. Okay. I said, okay.
Thank you. I shall appreciate it. Well, ladies, it's been a wonderful Tuesday. It's time for us to wrap up. This has been a phenomenal conversation. Thank each and every one of you for joining Tuesday Talks with Tonia on this August 15, 2023 day. And I look forward to seeing you. If I don't see you before the next podcast, which is in 2 weeks, hopefully I'll see you at the Girl Get Off the Couch live experience.
Let them know.
Brown, August 26th at the Croc Center from 1 to 3. Let's be there. Let's support one another. Let's share the word. Share with your friends, your sister circle, even with your men, because she said there will be men in the house. So just share with everybody. And thank you, ladies. You all have a safe and nice evening. Have a great week. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you, ladies. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Have a good evening.
Good night. Thank you.